Rising tensions and emerging consequences. Aboard the Argonaut, Captain Jason Rolar was a silent spectator to this unending cosmic theater, a humbling reminder of the smallness of their internal conflicts in the grand scheme of the universe. However, for Rolar, his crew, and his species, these perceived small conflicts were of colossal significance. The increasing tensions between humanity, the Galactic Council, and the Veritans bore far-reaching implications. The mission they had embarked on and the very future they envisioned was in a balance. Each ship that sailed under a human banner was a beacon of hope for the species. Every new colony established under their watch was an affirmation of human tenacity and courage. However, each message that arrived from Earth, reporting the happenings in the Galactic Council, only deepened Rolar's concerns. Meetings of the Council were turning decidedly aggressive, the Veritans leading the charge against human expansion. Despite the determined efforts of Elijah Sterling, the Council's opinion seemed irreversibly against them. Rolar was reluctantly coming to terms with an uncomfortable reality. Their challenge had evolved beyond merely establishing new colonies. It was now a political struggle, an ideological conflict that could significantly hamper their progress. Meanwhile, on Earth, Elijah Sterling found himself navigating treacherous waters. His diplomatic approach, once highly regarded, was now under severe scrutiny. His loyalty was being questioned, and a growing number of voices echoed doubts about his allegiance. Sterling, who once stood as a symbol of integrity and wisdom, was now the target of suspicion and even contempt. Sterling, however, remained undeterred. He understood that the situation called for diplomacy and patience, not hostility. Any rash action could provoke the Council, endangering the human expansion efforts. He had to reassure the Council, prove the peaceful intentions of humanity. Time, however, was a luxury he could ill afford. Back aboard the Argonaut, Rolar was grappling with the mammoth task of establishing new colonies and maintaining his crew's morale. They were committed and steadfast, but the escalating conflict was beginning to cast a long shadow on their spirits. In the midst of managing these challenges, an unexpected situation emerged. A ship destined to establish a new colony reported an alarming anomaly. They were being tracked by a Veritan warship. This development was unprecedented. Until now, the Veritans had kept their distance. This seemed to be a clear sign of escalating hostility. Rolar was confronted with a dilemma. He could order the ship to press on, risking a possible confrontation, or recall it, putting a halt to expansion. Both options had significant consequences. A conflict could trigger a full-blown war, while a retreat could be interpreted as a sign of weakness, encouraging more aggression. On Earth, Sterling was dealing with his set of problems. The incident with the Veritan warship had sparked widespread anger. The clamor for a stronger response was becoming louder, forcing the human representative to reconsider his course of action. The unfolding crisis had far-reaching implications. It strained the balance of power within the Galactic Council, the endurance of the colonists, and the steadfastness of leaders on all fronts. Humanity was at a crossroads, and the decisions taken during this time of crisis would echo throughout history. As Rolar and Sterling grappled with the weight of their decisions, the destiny of their species hung in the balance, entwined with the fate of the galaxy itself. The ripples of their choices would resonate across the cosmos, influencing the course of galactic history. As the third act of this galactic saga reached its climax, all eyes were on humanity, waiting for their next move. Escalating tensions. Hovering in the command center of the Argonaut, Captain Rolar squinted at the blinking on the holographic screen representing the colony ship Endeavor. A second, marked in red, followed closely behind, symbolizing the Veritan warship. His gaze was hardened, his normally twinkling eyes dulled by the weight of the looming crisis. "Commander Curie," he spoke up, his voice steady, "keep Endeavor on its course. Tell them to initiate their stealth tech. We mustn't appear intimidated." "Yes, Captain," Curie replied, sending the message instantly to the distant colony ship. They were veering into uncharted territory, a game of interstellar chicken against the cold and unyielding Veritans. Over the years, Rolar had learned to read the whispers of the cosmic winds, the signs written across the stars. The Veritans' move to tail the Endeavor was a clear indication that they were shifting tactics, the invisible lines of peaceful coexistence becoming blurred. The Veritans had always been enigmatic, their motivations and strategies veiled behind their stoic exterior. Their relentless pursuit of justice, while admirable, was unyielding and devoid of empathy, a trait that made them a formidable force within the Galactic Council. Rolar knew that their aggression wasn't personal, but a calculated response in their quest to maintain cosmic balance. As he navigated the Argonaut to intercept the Veritan ship, Rolar considered his next move. His gut told him that a dialogue was essential. Yes, they were potential adversaries, but they were also fellow inhabitants of the galaxy. They could not afford to let miscommunication and suspicion ignite an unnecessary conflict. Kiri, he said, his voice thoughtful, prepare the diplomatic suite. We may have unexpected guests. As the Argonaut moved to intercept the Veritan warship, the tension on board was palpable. The crew understood the stakes of this encounter. It wasn't just about the Endeavor or the potential new colony. It was about humanity's place in the grand cosmic scheme. A direct transmission was sent to the Veritan warship, a request for a face-to-face meeting. It was a risky move, but it was a necessary one. The silence that followed was more nerve-wracking than any blaring siren. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a response came in. The Veritan commander agreed to a meeting, an unexpected but welcome development. Rolar squared his shoulders, tugged at the bottom of his uniform, and took a deep breath. He was about to face an ancient, formidable race on the brink of hostility. However, he wasn't just a military officer, he was also a diplomat, a negotiator, a representative of humanity. Keep your cool, team, Rolar instructed, as his officers bustled around, preparing for the Veritans' arrival. We are not their enemy, and they are not ours. Not yet. He left the bridge, heading towards the diplomatic suite. In his heart, he hoped that the upcoming meeting would diffuse the tension, opening a path for understanding and cooperation. As he walked, he mused over the Veritans' anger, their fears about humanity's expansion, and their role as the guardians of cosmic peace. It was up to him to convince them that humanity was not a threat but a potential ally. The survival of his species depended on it. Even as he prepared for a diplomatic encounter, he couldn't shake off a nagging feeling that a storm was brewing on the horizon. The galaxy was on a knife edge, and the coming hours would determine whether they would plunge into chaos or find a way to maintain the delicate balance. The fate of humanity hinged on what was to come. One thing was clear to Rolar: he would do whatever it took to ensure his people's survival. Confrontation and crisis. Captain Rolar stood in the grand diplomatic suite, which had been swiftly transformed into a temporary peace table. In front of him, a holographic image of the Veritan commander shimmered into existence. The creature's silver eyes, reflecting an almost ethereal glow, stared back at Rolar. The Veritan's expression was a facsimile of tranquility, belying the tension that saturated the room. Commander Vril, Rolar greeted the hologram, an unexpected surprise. Your warship shadowing our colony vessel. Vril's voice echoed across the chamber, a metallic hum that sent ripples through the air. Captain Rolar, you mistake our intent. We follow not to strike but to observe, to understand. Rolar arched an eyebrow. Understand what exactly? The consequences of your actions, Vril replied cryptically. Your species is quick to claim, to colonize. You disrupt balances, and that disturbs us. Before Rolar could respond, a sudden jolt shook the room. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and crew members started shouting orders and status reports in response to the unexpected turbulence. Rolar, despite the confusion, felt his stomach drop. He quickly opened a communication channel to the bridge. Report. Apologies, Captain. Lieutenant Jarvis's voice trembled with panic, a defensive reflex. We've accidentally fired a warning shot towards the Veritan warship. Rolar's face blanched. He turned towards Vril's hologram. Commander, I assure you, that was unintentional. No harm was meant. Vril's hologram flickered, his gaze icy. We shall see, Captain. We shall see. The communication ended abruptly, leaving Rolar alone in the room, the gravity of the situation sinking in. A misplaced shot was all it took to turn a tense diplomatic encounter into a potential precursor to war. The news spread like wildfire throughout the Galactic Council. The accidental shot had given the Veritans a tangible example of the human threat. What was intended to be a diplomatic rendezvous had devolved into a potential military confrontation. As Rolar reeled from this crisis, he received a summons from the Galactic Council. The following day, Captain Rolar appeared before the Council. The holographic representatives of various interstellar species stared back at him, their gazes filled with varying degrees of concern, intrigue, and condemnation. Among them was Elijah, the human representative, his face as stern as ever. Council members, Elijah began, his voice echoing throughout the room, we stand at a precipice. The incident involving the Veritan ship was regrettable, but I assure you, it was unintentional. Counselor Elijah, interjected a council member, your assurances mean little in the face of a potential interstellar conflict. You must order your fleet to halt all colonizing endeavors. Elijah's gaze hardened, that's out of the question. We have as much right to expand and thrive as any other species. The council chamber erupted into an uproar. Several members called for an immediate halt to human colonizing efforts, citing the escalating tensions. Elijah's refusal only further incensed the council members. A member of the council, the relentless representative, turned towards Rolar. "Captain Rolar, you stand at the center of this storm. What say you?" Rolar looked at the assembled members. He knew his next words were vital. Taking a deep breath, he said, "Our purpose is peaceful coexistence, not war. But I won't order a stand down. We will continue our mission." His declaration sent another wave of murmurs through the council. The situation was slipping further and further into uncertainty. The council, once a bastion of unity and peace, was now a simmering pot of division and potential conflict. And at the center of it all was humanity, the fulcrum on which the balance tipped. With a resolute heart, Rolar understood the road ahead. It was paved with accusations, allegations, trials, and potentially, war. This was merely the beginning. The real battle for humanity's place in the cosmos was just getting started. Galactic descent. With the colony ship in continued transit and the Veritans' warship in its shadow, the news of the confrontation had reached the farthest corners of the known galaxy. A wave of uncertainty swept across the interstellar nations, unsettling established balances and breeding fear of an impending conflict. Back aboard the Argonaut, Captain Rolar was in the midst of addressing his senior staff. The mood in the conference room was tense. The wall screens displayed a myriad of information from multiple sectors of space, and one image dominated the Veritan warship, imposing and resolute. "We're in uncharted territory," Rolar said, breaking the silence. "Our actions, from here on out, will set the course for humanity's future in the galaxy. We must be steadfast, yet cautious." His words hung heavily in the air as his officers contemplated their roles in this unfolding drama. The seriousness of the situation was not lost on anyone. The lives of their crew, their families back on Earth, and the very fate of humanity were at stake. Meanwhile, in the heart of the Galactic Council, a council session was underway. The escalating tensions had sparked heated debates. Representatives passionately discussed their positions, some pleading for peace, while others instigated for reprimands or worse. At the center of it all, Elijah, the human representative, stood his ground. He had been involved in several exhausting dialogues and faced increasing opposition from other council members, but his resolve remained unbroken. "Council members," Elijah began, "the Veritans have offered no proof of our alleged misconduct. They simply shadowed our ship and made vague insinuations. We will not be deterred by such tactics. We cannot and will not halt our expansion." His words fell on a divided council, some nodding in agreement, while others looked on with visible resentment. The rift within the council was widening, and there was no sign of an imminent resolution. Elsewhere, the Veritan command was abuzz with strategic planning. Their supreme commander, Trell, was engaged in a holographic discussion with Commander Vril. "The humans are not backing down," Supreme Commander Vril reported, his voice filled with an undertone of concern. "We may be on the precipice of an undesirable conflict." Trell's holographic image reflected a moment of thought before responding, "Your vigilance is commendable, Vril. But we cannot let the humans disrupt the harmony of the cosmos. Prepare for all eventualities." Back on the Argonaut, tension was at its peak. Captain Rolar, along with his crew, maintained a vigilant watch over the Veritan warship. An eerie stalemate had formed in the void of space, each moment of calm adding to the mounting sense of anticipation. Despite the escalating tensions, life had to go on. Aboard the colony ship, the crew and colonists continued their daily routines. Parents explained the situation to their children, teachers held their classes, engineers kept the ship's systems running, all while under the watchful gaze of a Veritan warship. The colony ship had become a symbol, a testament to humanity's resilience. The precarious situation was teetering on the edge of disaster, the universe holding its collective breath. The stage was being set, not just for accusations, allegations, and trials, but also for a galactic power struggle that could forever alter humanity's place in the cosmos. The road ahead was uncertain, and only time would reveal the fate of humanity.